Phssthpok's first clear memories dated from the day he woke to the fact that he was a protector. He could conjure blurred memories from before, of pain, fighting, discovering new foods, experiences in sex and affection and hate, and tree climbing in the valley of Phssthpok, watching curiously, half a dozen times, as various female breeders bore children he could smell were his. But his mind had been vague then. As a protector, he thought sharply and clearly. At first it had been unpleasant. He had had to get used to it. There had been others to help him, teachers and such. There was a war, and he had graduated into it. Because he had had to develop the habit of asking questions, it had been years before he understood its history. 300 years earlier, several hundred major Pak families had allied to refertilize a wide desert area of the Pak world. Erosion and overgrazing had produced that desert, not war, though there were mildly radioactive patches all across it. No place on the Pak world was entirely free from war. The heartbreakingly difficult task of reforesting had been completed a generation ago. Immediately and predictably, the alliance had split into several smaller alliances, each determined to secure the land for its own descendants. By now, most of the earlier alliances were gone. A number of families had been exterminated, and the surviving groups changed sides whenever expedient to protect their bloodlines. Phssthpok's bloodline now held with South Coast. Phssthpok enjoyed war, not because of the fighting. As a breeder he'd had fights, and war was less a matter of fighting than of outwitting the enemy. At its start, it had been a fusion bomb war. Many of the families had died during that phase, and part of the reclaimed desert was desert once more. Then South Coast had found a damper field to prevent fissionables from fissioning. Others had swiftly copied it. Since then, the war had been artillery, poison gas, bacteria, psychology, infantry, even freelance assassination. It was a war of wits. Could South Coast counteract propaganda designed to split off the Meteor Bay region? If Easter Sea Alliance had an antidote to river poison iota, would it be easier to steal it from them or invent our own? If Circle Mountains should find an inoculation for bacterial strain Zeta-3, how likely was it that they'd turn a mutated strain against us? Should we stick with South Coast, or could we do better with Easter Sea? It was fun. As Phssthpok learned more, the game grew more complex. His own virus QQ would kill all but 8% of breeders, but would leave their protectors unharmed and fighting with doubled fury to salvage a smaller and less vulnerable group of strain-resistant hostages. He agreed to suppress it. Family had too many breeders for the local food supply. He rejected their offer of alliance, but blocked their path toward Easter Sea. Then, Easter Sea Alliance built a pinch field generator, which could set off a fusion reaction without previous fission. Phssthpok had been a protector for 26 years. The war ended within a week. Easter Sea had the recultivated desert, the part that wasn't bare and sterile from 70 years of war, and there had been a mighty flash over the valley of Phssthpok. The infants and breeders of Phssthpok's line had lived in the valley of Phssthpok for unremembered generations. He had seen that awful light on the horizon and known that all his descendants were dead or sterile, that he had no bloodline left to protect, that all he could do was to stop eating until he was dead. He hadn't felt that way since. Not until now. But even then, 13 centuries ago in biological time, he hadn't felt this awful confusion. What was this pressure-suited thing at the end of his arm? Its faceplate was darkened against sunlight. It looked like a breeder, as far as he could tell from the shape of the suit, but they couldn't have built spacecraft or pressure suits. Phssthpok's sense of mission had held steady for more than 12 centuries. Now it was drowning in pure confusion. Now he could regret that the Pak knew nothing of other intelligent species. The biped form might not be unique to Pak. Why should it be? Phssthpok's shape was good designing. If he could see this native without his suit, if he could smell it, that would tell the tale. They landed next to the porthole. The outsider's aim was inhumanly accurate. Brennan didn't try to fight as the outsider reached through the curved surface, grasped something,